tenant protections, and as it was, the Broadway plan actually had the most robust tenant protections that Vancouver's ever seen. It still needs to be stronger. You're absolutely correct there. And I'm going to continue fighting and working with Pete to make them stronger. But as they are, everywhere else in Vancouver wants these tenant protections because they are the best Vancouver has ever seen. We can still go further though, and that's what I'm...
Okay, I'm going to give Colleen Hardwick a chance to respond to...
no, I am not an Airbnb superhost. Where does this stuff come from? This stuff keeps coming up saying I voted no against everything. When you know that you're the only person that is going to stand up and shine a light on what's really going on in the city, you know that you're going to walk around with a target on your back, and people are going to do everything that they can to try and discredit you. I tried for the 4 years that I was on council to draw attention to the fact that the city has been promoting upzoning to generate revenue to fund the capital budget. And in doing so has inflated the land across this city. And we're never gonna have affordability as long as we keep inflating land values. And if I have to be the lone voice in the wilderness, standing up against people that are blithely going along with the housing supply myth and blithely believing everything that, you know, they've drunk the Kool-Aid without having done any critical analysis. And so I stand by my record, and I wouldn't have stood up alone all of those times and said no if I didn't think that somebody had to have the guts to do it.
Thank you. Sorry. I want to give...
Abstaining. I just have to answer that. Do I seem like someone would have a hard time making a decision that would be...
Hey, I'm sorry. Ms. Hardwick, let's stay focused on the structure of the debate. I'm gonna... I know you want to ask some kind of follow-up. I can see that there's somebody behind you who also wants to ask a question.
Okay, sure. Just to say that they don't have to answer it. I feel it was a yes or no question. I didn't get my the answer.
Okay, so... Okay. Again, sir, I'm sorry, but the audience can determine whether they answered your question or not. And let's give the person behind you a chance. Go ahead, please, sir.
Hi there. My name is Max, and I am 36 years old. Most people my age and younger in Vancouver will never own a single-family detached home. Vancouver still has large areas zoned exclusively for single-family homes, which limits housing supply and affordability. Would you support allowing more density in these neighborhoods, such as through duplexes, triplexes, and low-rise apartments? If so, what specific zoning changes would you push for? I think primarily this is for Cove Green and One City. Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with Sean.
Yeah, yes, I would support that. But I also support kind of answering the previous question as well. Real tenant protection would be vacancy control, tying the rent to the unit and not to the tenant. And yes, Colleen voted against that.
Okay.
So yes, I would support density in single-family housing areas, but I would also support the city having the funds to buy out those already existing apartments that are under threat. Montreal does this. It's called the right of first refusal. And you can buy, the city, they've done it a few times, they've bought up these apartment blocks, these 4-story walk-ups that are essentially illegal to build now, and you protect those people that are already living in those buildings. It can be done, and Montreal does it, and we can do it here too.
Thank you. I'm gonna ask that the Green and One City candidates just take 30 seconds, because you can see the lineup of people who still have questions, and we're running out of time. So just 30 seconds, please.
Real fast. This has already been done, thanks to Adrian Carr. We already have it rezoned across the city for up to 8 units. There are no single property lots anymore. Yeah. We can talk to Adrian more about it after, actually. So there we go.
It's One City's policy to legalise the building of 6th floors and corner stores across the city so that we can have affordable housing options in every neighbourhood, including Shaughnessy. ABC and Kensim declined to approve that motion that Christine Boyle moved. We need to eliminate homelessness. We need to provide safe housing so our neighbours can live indoors. We need to end the apartment ban. So yes, I completely agree with allowing more housing to be built, low-rise apartments to be built in every neighbourhood across the city.
Thank you. Next question, please. So just because the question was directed at specific candidates and we have all these other people coming forward, so if you're going to have some time at the end if you want to add that in your answer. Please go ahead.
Hey guys, thanks for coming. My name is Jess, and I don't think there are enough discussions about the arts in the city. So I'm an artist who moved here about 14 years ago, and I've been a part of the community's growth. And in that time as well, I've also seen, I've felt the pain of the closure of our art spaces, cultural spaces, and festivals. And we artists are very resilient, but we shouldn't have to be. And so yeah, just a general question for Annette, Lucy, and Sean. How would you fight to protect artists and our creative spaces? Thank you.
We'll start with Lucy.
Doors actually in the last few nights. And one thing, of course we want to fund properly arts organisations, but the number one thing that I think is the priority for the arts in Vancouver is affordable housing. And we hear a lot from our leaders about how we want a vibrant city, but the thing that makes a city vibrant is to have students and artists and people who earn low and medium wages to actually afford to live here. And the other thing that I think is important is to have affordable studio space for artists.
Thank you. Annette?
Yay, fellow artists. Yeah. You know, we need more initiatives. This is about reallocating some funding, to be honest. I feel your pain. I feel it so hard, and this is my community, right? We need to stop giving to the elite, and we need to grow the cultural aspects of our society, such as artists. We need that more than ever with the way the world is right now, everything that we're dealing with, especially with the pressures from south of the border. Our artists are the voice. Our artists are the reason. We need artists now, and I will do whatever I can to support artists in this community. Let's talk more.
Thank you. Sean?
Yeah, as a musician, I've been evicted from, I think, 10 jam spaces, maybe more. And a lot of that has to do with the speculative nature of real estate and commercial real estate. And a good way to do that is to dampen that speculation. The downtown east side has that mechanism already in terms of lowering land prices with the downtown east side Oppenheimer district, and I would encourage that.
Thank you. Okay, we've got about 5 minutes left for questions, so please be as brief as you can.
Okay, I'll be brief. Hi everyone, my name is Monique. I'm a resident of East Vancouver, and I also work for Women Transforming Cities, which is a grassroots nonprofit working to reshape who cities have been built by and for. My question is for Theodore, Colleen, Lucy, Annette, and Sean. All of you have committed to implementing the aid policy asks that are equity-based for our Hot Pink Paper campaign, which I encourage all of you to check out on our website. And those include, reducing barriers to affordable housing, finding alternative models to community safety, fully funding emergency climate responses. And I'm wondering, if elected, what is the first tangible action you will take to implement those policies?
Okay, 30 seconds. We start with Sean.
Hello. Yes, that was the easiest survey I've ever had to fill out. I think I was the first to fill it out. Yes on all 8 policy asks. The first one is redirecting the bloated Vancouver Police budget. $800 a minute. So while we've been here, what 45 minutes or more. Do the math. Redirecting that funding to communities and neighborhoods. And that's real public safety. Absolutely.
Thank you.
$800 a minute?
You don't.
That's me.
That's you.
So I think for starters, in terms of improving equitable Vancouver and including access to affordable housing, we need to put a pause on the Vancouver and the Broadway plan. I think that those two plans are going to displace a lot of residents, and they're going to fundamentally push out long-term artists, long-term residents, people who've been living in communities for a long time. We need to review the way that we're building out our housing right now in the city. And I think that that'd be a great first step in working towards a more equitable city for everyone. Because right now we're simply just building supply, and that's not working. It's affecting everyone on the housing ladder.
Thank you. Colleen?
If we can't afford to live here, what's the point? It all starts from there. And women, speaking as a mother that single-parented 2 children growing up, I knew how difficult it was having moved from place to place to place, being able to keep my kids in school. I mean, there's people in this room that know the struggles that I went through. So to me, it all really comes down to that. And I'm trying to do the same thing with my girls and now with my grandchildren to ensure that they will be able to afford to live here. And I can tell you that if the city continues down the path that it's on now, which is ultimately inflating land values at a constant rate, it will never be affordable for those next generations, for my daughters, my granddaughter, or anyone else. And so to me, that has got to be our single most important purpose. Because as I say,
Can't live here.
Thank you. Lucy?
My first priority is to re-establish the renter office, which I've already talked about, so I won't go on at length about that. I'm obviously in heated agreement with all the aspects of the Women Transforming Cities hot pink paper. The other thing that I think is a huge urgent priority is to review the leases of temporary modular housing that's currently existing to make sure that we extend them so that people aren't tipped into homelessness, and also look at co-op leases that are expiring and make sure that people are given certainty about their housing so that, again, people aren't tipped into homelessness.
Thank you. Annette?
Thank you for this question. This is right in where my heart is too, right, with the Gender Equity and Media Society, and I spoke with Claire about this. But first thing is, if you haven't read it yet, Red Women Rising, that report has a beautiful plan towards a healing lodge, and that is something that was touched on in that survey. And I think that, honestly, that becomes a safety thing. I would really love to encourage and find funds and supports across different government levels to actually make that happen in the downtown east side. Let's get those women a place where they can heal, where they can be safe.
All right, so I'm not quite sure how we're going to do this. We've got 4 people left. I want to give everybody a chance to ask their question, but we also need to, we've committed to wrapping up at 9 o'clock. So I guess, can I ask the 4 of you to put your heads together really quick and see whether there's overlap on your question?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we should hear from the new voter. I think
just let them see if they can sort it. Okay. All right.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. My question was, I think you two seen in Green, sorry, I can't see your name from here, but Annette, yeah. You were saying that the solution to like the Broadway project and like the whole like housing crisis would be cheaper housing, and then you kind of pointed out how it's like kind of not feasible for developers to like want to do that. So I want to kind of hear from all of you with like, what do you think the solution on that would even be at this point?
Go ahead, 30 seconds.
Council gets to decide what they permit, and they permit luxury housing. That's what they get. If they want something different, then that's what they tell the developers that they can build. It's not that complicated. It's just about having the balls to do it.
Lucy?
The key to more affordable housing is to reduce the charges on housing and reduce the scarcity of land available to build multifamily housing on.
Annette?
Beautiful question. Yeah, so what it is, it's the investors, right? We need to find the investors, and if the investors aren't willing to come in and give their portion of the money, because it's not beneficial to them, then that means that we need more provincial funding to subsidize that. It's BC Housing. This is a federal and provincial issue more than it is a Vancouver issue.
Yep.
We have solutions here, but we need
Comes from the
money
top.
to be able to fund this. And our lands should definitely be supportive housing.
Thank you. Does team have something they want to say for 30 seconds in response to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the 1980s, Vancouver had 15% non-market housing. That number is now down to less than 5%. Okay? We used to have a city that built the kind of housing that we needed, not enough of it, and we need participation from federal and provincial levels of government in order to get co-ops built, non-market housing built, modular housing built. It's not cheap and it's getting more expensive all the time. But we need to remove barriers and get it done. Simply building more market rate is not going to provide the affordability that we need. I ask people, would it be okay if we built a city that produced real estate millionaires instead of real estate billionaires? I think it's a fair ask.
Thank you. Okay, so I've just had a suggestion from the audience. We've got 3 more questions. I'd like each of you to ask your question, and one right after
That's
the
what
other.
I've been
and
saying
then
all
let the
along.
candidates decide which question they want to answer, okay? That way you get to ask your question, and you get to figure out who's going to address your issue. Go ahead.
Okay, relatively minor importance, but I'm wondering, yes or no, just simple yes or no, would you bring back free parking at Spanish Banks?
Yes.
Okay, next question.
My name is Louise and I live in Mount Pleasant, and I'm a registered nurse in the emergency department. And I just give that context because I find sometimes the rezoning and all that stuff is very confusing for someone like me. But something that came up recently that I think is being proposed to council is something about city-initiated rezoning, and it's on the Q&A right now of Shape Your City website. And one of the things that the city staff said is that if this went through, that developers would no longer be charged the community amenity contributions. And I was really concerned about that because I was under the impression that that was one of the ways the city was kind of justifying this crazy densification, was by charging the developers to help provide the services that we're all really concerned that don't exist now currently, and how are we going to support all the densification. And so my question to Lucy or whoever is, would you vote yes for this, which is the city-initiated rezoning?
Thank you. And last question.
Tremendous pressure now. It's an important question, though. Community planning is inherently about planning forward with the community. Planning decisions should not be dictated by top-down governments or driven by developer proformas. Since Vision Vancouver came into power in 2008, and more recently through the actions of the provincial government, the public has essentially been silenced through manipulated engagement processes, complete disregard for legitimate resident input, and the elimination of public hearings. And I'm hearing across Vancouver, neighborhood residents are increasingly excluded from major planning decisions. What would you do to restore public confidence in City Hall and truly engage with all Vancouver residents? And is it whoever wants to answer? I'd like to hear from the 4 political parties.
Okay. So what I'm gonna suggest is It is 10 to 9. I'm going to give each candidate 2 minutes to sum up. I encourage you to answer some or all of the questions that were put at the end in your 2 minutes. Some of them can be answered yes or no. Every candidate's going to get 2 minutes to make your pitch, and if you can include a response to those questions, I'm sure the questioner and the audience would appreciate it. So we started our introductions at this end with Rolla Girl, so I think we're going to start at the other end with Guy. You've got 2 minutes, your pitch on being elected and